Welcome to the Peace and Possibilities podcast. This is Julie Bruns, and you are about to be inspired. I am so excited to share my conversations with amazing people from all walks of life who figured out how to be happy, peaceful, and content doing work they love and making the world a better place so that you can see what's possible for your life. I can't wait to hear what you think. Send me an email and let me know one thing you're taking away from this episode. And never forget, anything really is possible. All right, everyone. My guest this week is Clara Capano. Welcome, Clara.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Of course. So Clara and I met through a mutual connection after I gave a workshop at a local real estate company, and Emily was really excited. You two have to meet and put us in contact. And as you know, because we've talked already, you and I briefly, that this podcast is all about hearing stories from people who love what they do, so that everyone else can figure it out sooner. So I'm happy to have you. And I want you to tell the audience just a little bit about what you do, Clara, and then we'll jump into the questions.
Yeah. Well, and again, it is such an important topic because so many people are out there not loving what they do. And not that every day has to be, a love affair, but you really do want to find that passion. So what I do is I work with women in business, and I really help them get into the heart of understanding why they do what they do, so that they can really get clear on their vision and making sure that all the decisions that they make are in alignment with their vision. And that will teach them how to better control their time, set up boundaries, so that they can, not just create the business that they like, but learn how to live their life more authentically too.
Love it. And I was talking to a guest a couple of weeks ago about very similar to what you just said, was women needing more of this coaching, because we have a lot of, coals in the fire, a lot of things up in the air, multitasking a lot. And we always put ourselves last, or we don't really have a lot of time to reflect because we take on a lot. And that can be obviously a good thing and a bad thing. But I love that there are women like you, and seeing more and more of it in the last couple of years, saying like, hey, let me help you get there, and loving what you're doing. And here are all the good tools and new ways to do it, or old ways, but you didn't know about them before. Because I think the more women we have like that on our planet and in business in general every day, the better everyone else is going to be too. So like
it's so true. I mean, we run and we live on that hamster wheel, and sometimes being able to have a safe place where we can, call a timeout and just take a few moments to catch our breath and know it's going to be okay.
And I also think it's so important to have that feedback from another neutral resource. Obviously we all have friends and family that we trust and we confide in a lot, but it's been really helpful to me to have business and personal coaches over the last several years, because you get someone else looking at you saying, well, here's what I'm seeing in this more neutral way. And it's not sometimes it ends up being therapeutic, but it's really just like, here's what I'm seeing and here's what I think can help you. And
absolutely. It helps us get out of our own way, because we all have our own perceptual maps and we all have our own programs. And sometimes, again, when it's right in front of us, we can't see it. And so to be able to have that person who is coming from a place of love, that was something I learned early on from one of my accountability partners. And she just called me out one day. She's like, I love hearing about all your ideas, but are you actually going to do any of them? And she was coming from a place of love. And I think that's what people really need to understand when they hire a coach or a mentor or someone. They're there to push you because they know you can do more. So you have to be able to be open enough to allow that love and that light in.
Open. Yes, for sure. Okay. So let's talk about how you got to where you are with this coaching and what you were doing. Did you always see yourself like this? Was there always this inkling of, I think I want to help women or help people one-on-one like you're doing? Or were you just kind of trying to figure out what you wanted after you did something else? I'm just curious.
Yeah. So early on, when I was a teenager, I battled anorexia. And I remember when I was going through my therapy, seeing a huge disconnect between how doctors communicated with their patients. And so for me, I wanted to do something where I would help people communicate better. And everybody told me that didn't exist. I would make no money. Nobody would ever hire me for doing that. And foolishly, I listened and I didn't pursue it. I now know that that was industrial psychology, but I didn't know what it was. So then I decided to go more of a safe route, and I went to college and I planned on going to law school. And on the way to law school, I realized didn't want to do that. And so I fell into the field of real estate, which was fantastic. I've had an amazing career in real estate for, over 25 years now. And it was really through that and in my leadership aspect of being in real estate that I was introduced to this concept of coaching. And when I went through my first certification to become a coach in 2004, I was like, this is it. This is what I was meant to do, because I love working with people, especially independent contractors, because I want to take them from what I do, such as selling real estate, lending, title, insurance, whatever it is, to I'm a business owner. Because I think so many times, we don't see ourselves. We just show up and we think we're a salesperson, and we have to start thinking more as a CEO. So that's really where my passion came in. And then I funneled it down more specifically to women as I became older and more mature, and I had my son, and I realized that I wasn't being present. I was so focused on checking off all the boxes, on getting the titles and, going up the corporate ladder and doing these things, that I wasn't really being present with my son. I wasn't being present with my family. I wasn't being present with my clients. And I realized that women really needed help just learning how to say no, learning to believe in their own worthiness, and that they can say no, and that boundaries are not a bad thing, but they actually open us up to give more in the right areas that we're supposed to give. So that's sort of how I kind of found my way to where I am.
So I'm hearing you say that you were noticing something that wasn't going well in your life, or how you wanted it to go in your life. And you're like, I need to change this. And then if you need to change it, there's probably other people who are experiencing what you're experiencing, which is always how it works, right? We try to, we learn the thing we have to teach, or we teach the thing we need to learn the most, or whatever that saying is. Yeah. Okay. That's cool. So, while you were doing all this, you said you had a successful career in real estate, and you were good at it and liked it. What were you doing along the way while you were inching along and trying to being successful and staying happy, peaceful and content until you kind of put all the pieces together now, what you're doing now? How did you, while you were doing all that and raising your son, how did you remain peaceful and happy and content along the way as you were striving for other things?
Well, for a long time, I didn't. I faked it until I made it. And I pretended that everything was okay when I was crumbling behind the scenes. And so I think for me, I really had to start being honest. And I really had to start looking at who is it that I really want to become, and really get clear on that vision. And, what kind of mom do I want to be? What kind of person do I want to be for my clients? What kind of business do I want to run? And when I started getting really clear on that vision of who it was I wanted to become, I then started to redefine what success was to me. And it wasn't going to be so much about the money and the titles and the cars and the houses. It was really more about motivating and impacting others. I really just wanted to be able to help other women be able to stand up for themselves, to be able to find that way, to be able to find the harmony between it all, so they can love what they do and still also be happy being a mom. Because I think there's a lot of shame and a lot of guilt that goes in with them. And people think you have to do one or the other, or you can't be good at one and you can't be good at the other. And so for me, I did that. And I found yoga. Yoga really helped me to find my center and my balance. And one of the mantras that they always had is, breathe in what is good and let go of all that is not serving you. And I took that concept of things that aren't serving you. And that's what I use as part of my decision processes when things come to me, new opportunities to speak or to write, to train, clients that come through. Is this opportunity going to help serve me? Is it going to feed in to my grand vision? If yes, great, let's do it. If not, that's okay.
Right.
It might serve somebody else's vision, but if it doesn't serve mine, it's okay if I pass on it. So I think doing things like that.
Yeah, I love that. And you're really the only person that can decide if it serves you. And I think just growing up, I mean, I'm in my early 50s now. I never remember anyone asking me, does that serve you? We're talking about it now like it's just a normal concept, but women, I think women especially, it's like, well, what do you, men, I think when they're younger, well, back in the day, I feel like I remember they have to make the money to raise a family, and the woman stays at home. I mean, I know that's more old school, but it was like, where do you want to be in your career so that we can get you there sooner? Like, that was like the old school way of thinking.
Right.
And with women, it was like, you will have to do everything if you want to have everything. So just, just kind of figure it out and just put your head down and go, 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 go. Instead of saying like, what really serves you, and how important is do you want to be home a little bit more and work a little bit less, or whatever it is. But no one was asking the questions back then when I was at 20, late 20s or whatever. It was just like, are you going to be a career mom, or are you just going to be a stay-at-home mom? That was really the two choices.
It was it. And that was it. You're either one or the other. And either one has its blessings and its curses. And now I think so much more, we can again redefine it. We can say, you know what, there's so many women out there that run businesses from their home. Yeah. And you can do that these days. Yeah. I know so many women where they grow into it. I know I did that with my career, being that I'm mostly on the road doing a lot of training and speaking right now. I did not do as much of that when my son was younger because I wanted to be home with him. Right. Now that he's a teenager, I can do more of those. So I think we have more choices now, but it all still comes from, what is it that we really want? What is that definition of what success is for us?
Yeah. And then when you figure out what serves you, you are serving other people at a higher level, because if it's working for you and it serves you, people can feel that, people can sense that. And then your productivity, your energy, everything is better and easier. People think it's going to be harder. It's like, actually ends up being easier. And then you can serve more people because it's working for you. Yeah.
Well, and you start serving the right people.
Yeah.
Because the right people start coming to you.
Yes. Yes. Great point. Great point. Okay. So advice, when you think about people that you mentor, so I know you say you train a lot. I don't know if you're training people with coaching or with real estate, or how you're doing that, but I'm sure you get a lot of questions about, how did you do this? Or what do you think about this? Or I'm just, I'm contemplating XYZ. What advice do you have for people that are searching for meaningful careers and helping figure that out sooner?
Yeah. So I think, again, you really have to sit down and do some soul searching. Again, getting into that why, what is your grand vision for your life? And if you want to open a restaurant, why do you want to do that? Really looking at those. So I work with a lot of people in real estate because that's been my background, but I also help women in other fields. And it's, again, getting into, the story behind it. And also then getting clear on, what's it really going to take? And are you willing to do that? Because the truth is, if we're not willing to do what it's going to take, maybe now isn't the right time to do that. Or maybe there's a different way to work with it. I was talking with a lady the other day, and she was talking about how she loves to mentor. She loves to be able, to give back and to talk, but she's like, I don't know if I really want to be a coach and do that. And I said, well, aren't there other ways that you can do that? You could write a blog, you could volunteer at your church or at the school. So again, I think, really looking at just all different angles of, you may not want to leave the job that you have, but that doesn't mean you still can't do the things that are bringing you passion. So again, I think just really getting really clear on, what that vision is. That's the first part. And then everything has to align with that. You have to start getting clear on, what are the things that are most important to you now. So for me, I'm 50 years old right now. The things that are most important to me are my time, my relationships, and the ability to have lasting impact. So all the decisions I make, have to align with those. If I make a decision to do something, is it going to allow me to still have the time that I want and use my time effectively? Is it going to position me in a place where I can have that kind of impact? And is it also going to still allow me and not take me away from my relationships? So you've got to start using that vision as your compass.
I love that, your vision as your compass. Also, I love what you were saying about looking at it from a bunch of different angles, because some people will say, well, like, I really love just like to be a lawyer or to be a doctor, but I don't really necessarily want to have all of the commitment that goes along with it. But just because you can't see yourself as a full-time doctor or want to have a family or whatever, like, doesn't mean that's the only way you can practice medicine or practice law or whatever it is. And I think that happens a lot with women too. It's like, oh, well, that's going to take all of this. And so I'm just going to say no to that. But no, what can you do for a part of it? What are all the different ways you can serve? You can do it for money, with not for money, whatever it is. Right. You can do it 5 hours a week. You can do it 5 hours a weekend. It doesn't matter. But I think, we have been taught, I think, with more of this cut and dry you have to have this or this, you can have
Yeah.
this or that, instead of like,
Yeah.
how can you incorporate it all? And sometimes that would be plenty. You don't ever see yourself going all the way to this other scale. And other times it's like, oh, no, I actually do want to go all the way. And I figured it out because I did a little of it along the way. And now I know that I want to do it all the way.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's important. That's really good. That's really good advice. Really good advice. Okay, so is there anything you wish you had learned earlier in your life or career? Is there anything that stands out?
I think trusting myself. I think we, just as humans, I think a lot of us don't trust our own beauty, our own voice. And that was something I definitely didn't do. I looked to, does this make sense? Are other people going to think it's okay? And I didn't really trust what I should have trusted for myself. And I think that it's scary and I don't really have an answer to do it, but I think we all know what we should be doing. And I think we need to tap into that. And so I think that that would have been something I wish in schools, I wish we would have something more with mindset work in schools to
Yes.
help children, young adults tap into that sense of themselves, that intuitiveness, because I think we don't listen to that as much and we miss out on a lot of amazing opportunities.
I could not agree more. I totally wish this was all of these concepts we talked about, especially even like high school for sure, but even like 7th or 8th grade, where it's like just putting that little thought into their little brains so that they can start going, what about this? And I totally agree with the intuition. People don't trust it enough. And like you said something big, what will other people think about this? Well, why are we usually women, so concerned about what other people are going to think? Men aren't as much. And they usually end up getting further along quicker. It's probably because they're trusting their guts and they're saying, well, I'm not even thinking about what that other person's thinking. I want to go for that. So I'm just going to go for it. This is a big thing for me too. It's shifted a lot for me probably over the last 5 or 6 years. I think obviously with age and wisdom and experience, you get more confidence, but then eventually you realize it doesn't really even matter what those other people don't have to live your life. They don't have to get up every day and look at the person you're looking at or be in the experience, your job it is, whatever it is. It's easy for people to say, well, I think you should do that, but who's really living that life? You're the one who has to do it every day. So yeah, that's huge. That's huge. Okay. The greatest gift you offer the world every day.
Well, it's ourselves. It's ourselves. I mean, as silly as it is, but it is, because nobody can do you the way that you do you. And I think, again, if we just show up authentically and understanding that authentically is just that, if you're having a great day, show up authentically having a great day. If you're not having a great day, don't be mean about it, but you don't have to pretend that, oh, I'm doing great today. If you're not, you can say, I'm having a rough day. I'm still good, but I'm having a rough day.
Right.
But I think, again, just when you show up and you just have to be present, that's really the true gift, is wherever you are, slow down. When I'm here with you right now, I want to be here with you right now so that we can give the greatest gift to your viewers. When after this, I have to go teach an online class and I want to be present and I want to be there. It's like that's the greatest gift you have, is just truly showing up authentically and really being present in that moment that you're doing.
I just had a thought. I mean, I'm sure I'm not the first person to think it, but your presence is a present to other people.
Absolutely.
And people can feel that when you're paying attention and you're really there, authentic. And I also love what you said about, if it's not great, say it's not great. And like you said, you can still be professional and do what you need to do, but it's also opening up a chance for the other person to say, they may just feel the exact same way you feel. And then they can go, they can let their guard down a little bit and say, me too, it's been whatever. All right, well, let's talk about something good, or let's, whatever, change the subject. But at least you can you're feeding into that, like, let's both be authentic today. And if it's not awesome, you don't have to say that. You can just say, I'm working on it. I'm trying to have a better day, whatever. Tell me something good about you today. And then you're shifting the energy again too. Yeah. Yeah, that's a great one. I like that one.
And I think just to kind of piggyback on that a little bit, this is another thing I think a lot of women struggle with, because we tend to think of ourselves as natural born multitaskers because we have to be. But at the end of the day, multitasking really doesn't exist. And so, it's very hard to do, but I think, trying our best to be there. And this was something that I learned from my mom. She had 4 children. She would really try to give each of us one day a month, she would take me and do something with me for a couple hours. She would take my other sister and do something with her, and so forth. And so I think, again, when you can be there, we even had family dinner together, and no phones. But just in those moments, you've got to find that gift of presence, because that's what really connects us.
And it's not anything you can fake.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, for sure. Love that. Okay, final question for you. What is the one thing or new or that you are taking away from our conversation today that's either that you said or that I said, or a new idea or something that you're taking away from our conversation today?
Yeah, I think just really tapping into the idea of what is serving you. Because I think that, again, I love what you said, is nobody knows the answer to that except ourselves. And I think we have to really start looking at the lives that we are leading. Is this life serving me?
Yeah.
And I say this with a grain of salt. I'm not saying to go and like kick people out of your world or leave relationships or just haphazardly go and leave a job. But if you're not feeling like it's serving you, find out why.
Yes.
Maybe it's you still stay in the job, but can you use the income that you're getting from that job to serve your other life's purposes? So looking at those things, can you look at your relationships? And if your relationships are not 100% where you want them to be, how can you improve upon them? If you're not there, if a certain workout isn't doing that, well, can you find a different one? But again, really looking at these and just being honest with yourself and seeing how, because if we aren't serving ourselves, we truly can't serve others.
No, for sure. I also, I was just thinking when you were talking about serving you, I did this thing called, so this was really helpful for me. I did this probably like almost 2 years ago now. And it's called super thinking. And I heard about it from, I don't know if you ever heard of it before, but it's just an exercise. It takes an hour. And I heard of it from Amy Porterfield, her podcast a couple of years ago. I was listening to her before I wrote my book and launched my business. And she talked about something, I forget who told her about it, but basically you sit down, and this will help you with what's serving you. You sit down and write all the questions down, whether it's your business or personal or career, and maybe you're not a business owner, about questions you have for yourself and things you've asked other people. Like I just talk to my husband all the time about, because he's in sales and completely different person and mindset than mine. And so I bounce ideas off of him and, hey, what would you think if, and I'm going to approach it this way, that kind of thing, to get someone else's opinion besides a girl or whatever. So I'm always doing this, and I do it with my friends, of course, family, but the idea is, and you can look it up, to write down all of the things that you are wondering about and write them down and give yourself an hour to answer the questions yourself. Because you already know the questions. You already know the answers. Clara, it was one of the most, I still have it. I probably wrote maybe 7 or 8 pages. Like I wrote a question down. If I didn't have the answer right away, I'd write the next question. And then I went back for 1 hour. So you can't have your phone. So you take your phone and you move it away. It's so difficult because you want to pick up your phone and so while I'm thinking, sometimes I'll look up something else just to get my mind off it so I can maybe get the answer, just get distracted for a minute, but you cannot do that.
Yeah, you got to sit there with yourself and with your thoughts.
In 15 or 20 minutes in, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I could sit here for 40 more minutes. Do I have any other questions? But once you just tell yourself, I'm not changing. I was comfortable. I was sitting on the couch. I had my tea. I'm like, I'll just keep doing this. I'll sit here for 1 hour. I could sit here for 1 hour. And I did it. But all of the stuff that came up, like some of the questions I answered within 5 seconds. Some of the other ones I took a little bit longer, and I went back. I'm like, no, this is what I thought. And I still have that. And it was just a very powerful, it's 1 hour. It costs no money. I didn't need anyone else to do it. And all I needed was a pen and paper. So I'm saying all that because it really does help you define what's serving you. Like you said, you get to get super clear. You ask yourselves the right questions, and then you already have the answers. But most women, because we're multitasking so much, we're not really even listening to ourselves or giving us time to listen to ourselves, because we're like, well, I have to get on to this other thing. So I'll listen to myself like at 10 o'clock tonight or at 6:30 in the morning. It's like, it doesn't work that way.
Doesn't work. No.
You have to.
So I love that exercise. Yeah, we've got to start listening to ourselves.
Yeah, super thinking. So, well, thank you so much. I wrote down a ton of things you said today, so I'm gonna have fun putting the notes together because you had a lot of good wisdom and tips and tricks, and I think it's going to be really helpful for a lot of people, and now and in the future. Just when people are trying, sometimes people say, well, everything's good right now, I don't need to think about that. Typically though, especially women around our age, it's like they're starting to question some things because
Right.
they know they have X amount of years to be working or
Mhm.
they don't really want to just kind of enjoy their life more. And so I think it's definitely going to speak to that. But also people that are younger in their 20s and 30s figuring out like what they want to do with their lives. Like these are good questions to ask now. Like why not ask them earlier so you can do what we're doing
Absolutely.
sooner, right?
And that's why I say success leaves clues. Learn from us. If you're in your 20s, 30s, learn from us.
Yeah.
Start trusting yourself and go out there and go after those dreams.
I love that. Success leaves clues. Oh my gosh, that's perfect. Yes. That's a great quote. Success leaves clues. Thank you for sharing all your wisdoms today, Clara. It was really
Thank
nice
you.
talking to you. And I know
too.
people are going to be inspired, which is what this is all about. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening. I hope you loved this episode. Don't forget to like us, subscribe, review, and share it. I hope you were truly inspired. And for a little more inspiration, don't forget to pick up my book, Peace, Possibilities, and Perspective: 8 Secrets to Serenity and Satisfaction in Your Life and Career. I can't wait to get you love in your life.